Welcome to Saturday Night Protection Live with your host, Christopher Gelson, the director and lead teacher of Protect Your Children Incorporated. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website, ProtectYourChildren.org. You asked what it is one more time? ProtectYourChildren.org. Yes, that is the website. We want to welcome our viewers on Facebook tonight. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. And if you're on Twitter, we're no longer streaming live on Twitter. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the links are on Twitter in order to get over to YouTube. So we're glad that you're joining us from over there as well. We got a great show tonight. We're looking at part 5. This is the final part of our series on how to protect kids from sexual predators online and in the community. Because why? It's an epidemic. And every week, we are no longer surprised at the stuff that we find out, whether it's the latest story of a chiropractor who was found with, 10,000 images of kids on his devices, allegedly. And the kids were from his chiropractor practice. So that's pretty scary. How long was that guy in business? So, whether it's that or whether it's a school teacher or a priest or a pastor, or earlier this week, what did we come across? We came across a detective who was working in the sexual crimes unit of a police department, and he was caught with thousands of images on his devices, allegedly. I mean, this is going through all different ranks, and parents, educators that are not harming kids, guardians, aunts, uncles, we need to be prepared and educated and aware in order to keep our kids safe. All right. Now, let me tell you something. You ever have one of those situations where you're like, this was meant to be, or something got in the way of you doing something and then you're thankful later that you didn't do it? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, tonight, up until, 3 minutes ago, we had all sorts of technology problems. The computer wasn't working. We went to the laptop. The laptop wasn't working. It's like, man, there are some evil forces trying to stop this show from going live. But guess what? We're here, and we're glad that you are here. We're hoping that you can hear us because we did have technology issues. If someone out there can put in the chat how the sound is, we would greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. So as I said, tonight, part 5, we're going to be looking at kids that are abused often believe a whole host of lies. And these lies keep them in shame and in false guilt and false shame. It keeps them quiet. It keeps them from not telling people what happened and what they went through. And we're going to look at those lies tonight. Also, we're going to bring you some vital tips on preventing kidnapping. Because you know what? We have just this past situation happened this past week where a little girl got off the school bus, and just between the school bus stop and her house, a car came by and tried to pick her up. And when she started to fight back, a second car pulled up. Like, these are coordinated, okay? And she managed to get away, thank God, and got in the house safely. But this is how scary it can be. And Human Trafficking says, sound is great. Thank you. Thank you for being in the chat. Also, Rising on Eagle's Wings is in the chat as well. We have a whole host of people watching on Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube right now. We're glad that you are here. So we're going to be looking at the lies that kids believe. Now, listen, here's the problem. The stats show that on average, kids that have been victims of SA do not report or disclose for a period of 3 to 5 years. Think about that. So in 3 to 5 years, kids are hiding what has happened to them. They're holding on to shame. They're holding on to guilt. They're holding on to all this stuff, right? And the memories of what happened, the trauma, is destroying them on the inside. And a lot of times the reason why these kids are quiet is because of the lies that they believe. All right. And we're going to look at those lies tonight so that you can have the conversation with your child and say, hey, if anything ever happens to you, this is what a abuser or a predator is going to say to you. And we're going to tell you and show you how to counter that tonight. Marie T, welcome to the chat. Marie T, our co-director, glad that you are here. Tracy, servant of Christ in the chat, glad that you're here as well. Appreciate you very much. So we're going to look into that tonight. Also, sextortion is becoming quite a common occurrence now. It used to just be once in a while. And you know, sextortion is, well, you've heard of extortion, which usually has to do with money. Sextortion has to do with sex. And kids are being trapped in sextortion because of what they're doing online. Because, let's just say it, parents, guardians, other people are not monitoring what their children are doing online. And so they are getting involved in quote unquote relationships with these sexual predators. They're getting to the point where they're exchanging images or videos. And then those images and videos are being used against the child. And this sextortion situation has led to kids unaliving themselves. You can look up the stories. And it's very sad. It's very tragic. So USA Today actually did a great article. I think it was USA Today. Yeah, it was USA Today. Did a great article on this, national article. Thank you, God, that they're doing, like the media is covering this and trying to get the warning out to parents. So we're going to look at that tonight as well. We are going to look at the, oh man, I'm going to tell you something. The hero segment we have tonight, let me tell you what, you're gonna love that. You're just gonna be like totally touched by it. It's gonna be very powerful, very, very powerful. And we're also gonna look at a short story on how the FBI tracks down child, we can't say the word, pornography. There we go. We're gonna call it PC. Tracks down child yeah. You know that word. We can't say it on YouTube. So we're going to be real PC about it. But yeah, how the FBI tracks down child pornography, we'll say. And it's very interesting, very educational to see how many of these predators go to great lengths to hide this stuff and how they're hiding it from their own families, from law enforcement, from everybody. And that's going to get exposed tonight as well. So a lot of good stuff tonight. I want to let you know about our website really quick. This is Saturday Night Protection Live with your host, Christopher Gelson, the director and lead teacher of Protect Your Children Incorporated. And as I said, we are glad that you are here because let me tell you, without you, who we talking to? Who we talking to here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm getting all New York on you. New York. Hey, we're trying to teach over here. We're trying to protect the children over here. What are we doing? Huh? All right. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website. And let me tell you, if you scroll down on our website, you will see that there's a link for our live show podcasts. Okay, I admit it. We're a little behind on getting last week's episode uploaded, but we're going to jump on it. So yes, you can click there and you can listen to all the live shows. If you have missed any, we encourage you to go back and listen to that. Social media, all of our social media links, Facebook group, our Facebook page, Twitter, X, which is Twitter. Let's be real. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Rumble, and Threads. By the way, Threads is a haven for predators. If you haven't heard us talk about it, it's hell. We're on there trying to like warn kids, but it's like trying to scoop out the ocean with a spoon. I mean, it's really bad on Threads. Get your kids off of Threads if they're on there. God help them. I'm telling you what. So a lot of great stuff on our website. Background checks, in-depth protection packet. First link right on the menu there. That's what we're teaching from the last 4 series and our 4 parts to this series. And tonight's part 5, the final part. All of this information we're teaching is available in the in-depth protection packet. Yes, and we encourage you strongly to download it, print it, share it, go over it with your children. This is information that your kids can benefit from. It's age appropriate. There's nothing real graphic in there, but it will teach kids how to be safe and how to identify potential predators. So that's really awesome stuff. So please definitely check out the in-depth protection packet. Zachary Bernhardt, you know, that's a case we've been working on. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. He is still missing. And yeah, there's leads. There's leads that can't be followed up on right now, but there's leads. Like I said, all our live shows are there. Everything is on our website, protectyourchildren.org. So please check that out. Yes. Tracy said it's called child pictorial exploitation. Wow, that's a mouthful, but yeah, I mean, it's a problem today. It's definitely happening. So, all right, let's see what we got going here. Let's jump into our Hero Kid segment that we bring you each week. We highlight a child that has done amazing things, shown bravery, shown courage, shown selflessness. Let's be reminded of how awesome kids are and how innocent they are. Doesn't mean they're perfect. You're like, what are you talking about? My kids are innocent. Man, I got to yell at them all the time. We're not talking about that. We're talking about they are born with an innocence and a purity and a great heart. Okay? And predators, their whole goal is to destroy those kids. And we want to remind everybody how awesome kids are. So each week we bring you the Hero Kids segment to highlight a child who has done something amazing. And they deserve the praise. They deserve to get the recognition. And that's why we do this every week. So let's check out this Hero Kids segment, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
25 years. But they say in mere minutes, early Saturday morning, they lost it all. There were 11 relatives staying here that night, including 4 children.
It was really hot, and then as soon as we woke up, like 10 seconds later, it got really black in there.
Now, 2 of the relatives inside were in wheelchairs, but with fire blocking their ramped exit, they had to bring them down these stairs. It was chaotic and very difficult, so they didn't realize at first that 8-year-old Mia was still inside.
I didn't hear Zane wake me up, so I was asleep. Then I woke up, and then I was just in the hallway because I didn't know which door to go out.
She's so precious.
I was just in the hallway crying because I didn't know what to do. Then Zane came back and got me.
Before anyone could stop him, 10-year-old Zane ran back into the burning home to look for his sister.
I was screaming to her to come get my hand, and then she came, and then we went outside.
Weren't you scared? Tell me why you weren't scared.
Because I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking about saving my sister.
He's just all around good kid. I mean, super kid.
Does it surprise you that he would do something like this?
No, he is just. He loves his siblings.
He makes sure that they're cared for and played with and kissed on and loved.
The home and just about everything inside is gone, along with 3 dogs. But they're thankful their entire family, from the oldest to the youngest, is safe.
Now I feel like me and her got way more closer to each other. I'm really proud of myself for helping her.
Wow. Is that awesome? I mean, can we get some love here? Come on, let's get some love. You're 10 years old and you run into a burning house to rescue your little sister. How brave do you have to be to do that? I mean, he's like, I'm not even. They asked him if he was scared. He's like, nah, I wasn't even thinking. I was just thinking about saving my sister. That's all. This is how awesome kids are, man. It's just great. And there's story after story after story about how great kids are and the awesome things that they do. And we want to preserve that. I know you do too. We want to preserve that. Tracy in the chat said, brave big brother. Absolutely. We want to preserve the innocence and the purity of children. I mean, they are the next generation. And this is why we have to be educated and aware of all the tricks, threats, traps, schemes of these sexual predators, especially in the age of online communication. But not just that. I mean, they're everywhere. Right? So we just lift up that child and say, you know what? Good for you. You go into a burning house and you save your little sister. I mean, that's incredible. So that's our Hero Kids segment for this week. All right, let me tell you about sextortion. All right. I'm going to tell you something, man. This is a crazy, crazy stuff. Sextortion. We've talked about this. We've covered stories before about this. And sextortion is becoming rampant. It is becoming a common thing, and it used to not be. It used to be a once in a while thing, which of course is too much. But this is as USA Today says, a fast-growing crime that targets teen boys, not just teen boys, but they have been the victims of recent. And here's what to do about it. This is from USA Today. Sextortion occurs when a predator using a fake or hacked account engages in a sexual conversation with you online and then blackmails you, often with nude photos you exchanged or sexually explicit messages. The crime can happen even if you never send nude photos, with the blackmailers using artificial intelligence to generate highly believable images. Listen, next week we're going to be covering a story on that. There was a teacher that was just arrested for taking ordinary photos of the students and using artificial intelligence to turn them into child pornography. Yeah, that's a very real thing. And they're using just the regular photos that parents are just more than happy to put online of their kids. And we'll get into that. The most common victims of financial sextortion are teen boys ages 13 to 17, and extreme cases that can be connected to someone unaliving themselves, often within 24 hours. Here's some red flags to watch out for. And parents, this is good to go over with your kids. A person reaching out as a stranger. Well, duh, right? This is what we say. Don't talk to strangers. Well, don't talk to them online or in person. It should raise alarm bells if you don't share mutual friends with a stranger you receive a message from, or if a profile looks unusual, blurry, or highly edited. In some cases, the accounts are highly believable, having been hacked from a real teenager or curated with photos over months. If the conversation quickly turns sexual, right? Teens should be alarmed if a new follower immediately guides a conversation to a romantic or sexual nature. Yep, there's a flag. User insists on texting instead. Predators often ask to move the conversation off social media onto a private text platform or another encrypted messaging service, which makes it harder for victims to keep a paper trail. Interesting. Language is unusual because scammers may be non-native English speakers. Poor grammar or unusual language can also be a tip-off of someone taking on a fake identity. Okay. Now, if you or your child is being sextorted, remember, be brave. Okay. Look at this. This person's going to, the predator is going to say, I will send you pictures. I'm going to send your pictures. So what can kids do in this situation? Number one, they need to tell the parent. They need to tell somebody that this happened. Yes, they're going to be ashamed. Yes, they're going to be embarrassed. They actually, okay, they sent a photo of themselves. They fell into temptation. They fell into sin. Okay, parents, don't scream at them. Don't say how stupid you were. What did you do? What were you think? That's not going to be helpful. Let them know that if this happens, which, by the way, if you're monitoring their social media, and you can catch this ahead of time, but these predators, these sextortionists will say, I'll send your pictures. So the first thing a child needs to do is block them. Now, here's the problem. You want to make sure that the child grabs screenshots of the person that they're talking to on social media. Because on a lot of social media, if you block somebody, right, and then you forget what their profile name was, you can't find them anymore. They're blocked, right? And then, of course, they can't find you. Get some screenshots. You know, if they're being threatened, kids need to grab a screenshot so they at least have a username, okay? Or if it's a text message, obviously, you know, you've got the phone number then. Says block the predator on social media and any additional text messaging or video call platforms you've communicated on, and do not send predators money. Yes, it's not going to stop them. That's not going to stop them, okay? And they're going to say, look, send money now. Send the money. If you don't, I'm going to expose these pictures. I want to send them to your friends. I want to send them to your parents. I'm going to make sure they see them, and everyone's going to know what you did. Make sure you report the profile. Report the predator's account to the social media platform abuse occurred on, but keep your own account and documentation of all messages. That's where the screenshots come in. Having a paper trail with timestamps and you know, if you do a screenshot, you can go into the properties of that screenshot. It'll tell you exactly when it was taken. Having a paper trail with timestamps can be vital in finding a criminal's identity. Alert authorities by using the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip line, which is right there, report.cybertip.org. Contact your local FBI field office to report to the FBI. You can even call the police and they'll get you in touch with the right people. Minors who have been scammed can work to remove the images from the internet through NCMEC's Take It Down service. If you're over 18, use stopandc2.org to work to remove the images. And then here you go. Look. I need to tell you something. I don't know what to do. Ask for help. Your kids need to be able to ask for help, okay? Tell someone about what happened. A relative, a teacher, a trustworthy teacher, a coach, counselor, mentor, or someone in a religious organization. And the child, if they need immediate mental health, they can call or text 988 suicide hotline. Reassure the kids that it's not their fault, right? Kids often will not talk about this. They'll feel like it's their fault. They screwed up. And then they'll stay quiet about it to the point of unaliving themselves. We can't have that happen. Can't have that happen. You know? All right. Ensure that the victims of sextortion are supported. The bottom line is this. The blackmailer is to blame, not the person who communicated with them. It's the predator who committed a crime. Okay? That's the bottom line. Kids need to know it's not their fault. And learn about online safety. This is what we do. We teach about this. Parents and communities, including schools and law enforcement, should work together to share information and talk openly about online safety. Educators, doctors, and parents should stay up to date with NCMEC and FBI alerts to follow trends in online abuse. And we do this every week. Saturday Night Protection Live, and also on our social media, we talk about different things that are coming up all the time. If you want to talk to your teenager about sextortion, here are some things you should know before you have the conversation. Avoidance is outdated, okay? Telling teens to avoid social media platforms or not engage with strangers online is outdated advice. Yeah, it is, given the sheer scale of the problem, cybersecurity experts say. What's more, thanks to AI, a child could be blackmailed regardless of if they've shared a nude image to begin with. Wow. Start the conversation with the kids early on. Open up the conversation about sextortion and internet safety early on to build trust and confidence over time. Discuss internet abuse in the wider context of what healthy relationships and boundaries should look like. And explain that being pressured or pressuring someone into sexual behavior isn't okay. All right? Now, outline who a teen's support network is outside of their parents. Have them name 3 trusted adults that they could go to in a crisis. A trusted adult could be a relative, teacher, coach, counselor, mentor, or someone in a religious organization. All right? So prioritize prevention. Create an amnesty plan. Parents can create, and I love this, an amnesty policy that allows teens to turn to them for help in a dangerous situation without consequences. That's what we're talking about. Let your kids know they're not going to get in trouble. And make sure kids know it's not their fault. All right. Those are just some tips, but sextortion is very real and it's important to talk to your kids about it. All right. That's a lot. That's a very bunch of information there. All right, let's see. Marie T said, actually, when you send them money, they actually get more aggressive with threats, manipulation, etc. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. That's what happens. It doesn't stop them, you know. Maria Morales in the chat, glad that you're here. Thank you for always sharing. Marie, I tell you, Maria Morales is like our sharing queen. Every time I turn around, it's like we post something on social media and it's like, Maria shared it. So you're awesome, Maria. Thank you so much for loving kids as much as you do and helping to keep them safe. We thank you for that. So that's sextortion. Now, I want to tell you about a good news story. You ready for some good news out there? Can we get some good news? And this good news is going to tie into our next segment. See, this is how you do a professional show, right? You got to tie things together, right? And that's what we're trying to do here with our cheap little setup. But hey, let me tell you, when you're not for profit, you ain't got a lot of money. You can't do fancy stuff. You can't have a nice big fancy studio, okay? Listen, we don't even have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're not even getting ad revenue, okay? We are making no money, okay? We're not making any money, but hey, we do the best we can. So check out this. We're talking about a child that went missing. I don't know if any of you have seen the story. Child went missing 25 years ago, and as you can guess, it was connected to a family member. Man, when the name of this popped up in my suggestions, I immediately thought about Zachary Bernhardt, who's been missing for 26 years. And I was like, what, wait, child found after 25 years. And I got all excited. And then I clicked on it, and it's not talking about Zachary. And for those of you joining us who may not know, we've been investigating that case for about 3 years now. We've got tons of information, tons of content, leads, but we are being held back on researching further and bringing that to a close. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, let me show you this YouTube video. I didn't have time to download this, so we're going to watch it right off of YouTube. Premium, though, of course, so there should be no commercials. But let's check this out. This is an exciting story about this little girl who went missing 25 years ago, and she's been found.
A child abduction case out of New Haven that happened 25 years ago. It finally came to a close last week after the toddler, now an adult woman, was found in Mexico.
Today, her father and stepmom spoke to the media for the first time. NBC Connecticut's Jennifer Cuevas is in New Haven with the new developments on the decades-long search.
As you can imagine, today was an extremely emotional day for the family. They say they are thankful for the FBI and the New Haven Police Department and are now looking forward to reconnecting with their daughter, Andrea Reyes.
After 25 years, God has answered our prayers and blessed us with a chance to know her again.
We have some sense of happiness, but the chapter is not closed yet.
An abduction case from 1999 has officially come to a close. Last week, the New Haven Police Department announced Andrea Reyes had been located in Mexico and virtually reunited with her father 25 years after she was taken by her biological mother. Reyes was just under 2 years old at the time. Investigators say the FBI investigated the case for 18 years. But it wasn't until 2023 when New Haven police detective Keelan Nevikoff reopened the case that it was able to advance.
Using a combination of interviews, search warrants, social media, Detective Nevikoff determined that Andrea, now 25 years old, had been taken by Rosa to Mexico and was still residing there.
Another key factor in solving this case was a partnership with Othram, a company specializing in DNA testing.
Today's case was, nice to see a good result. And that's what we're chasing in all cases. It's incredibly empowering to see the end result, but there's more work to do.
While we have good news, we do not lose sight of those families still waiting for their loved ones to be found.
Police say there is a felony arrest warrant for Reyes' biological mother. However, it can only be enforced in the United States. Reyes, who is now 27, still lives in Mexico. In New Haven, Jennifer Cuevas, NBC, Connecticut News.
Now that's encouraging. Now we know that in over 95% of child abduction cases, it involves a family member, a lot of times a biological family member, sometimes distant relatives, but it usually involves the family in one way, shape, or form. And it looks like this mother took this child and went to Mexico and was hiding out there for, can you believe it, 25 years. Now, anybody who says that we should give up hope, you're crazy. We continue to look for Zachary Bernhardt. Let me actually bring his picture up on screen here so you can see. All right. Look at this preciousness, okay? Zachary Bernhardt on the left, 8 years old when he went missing. There's an age progression photo, one of the many that they have. And this case is very, very strange. There are so many open questions about this case. A child just doesn't up and disappear at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay? We don't have time to rehash it tonight, but on our website, protectyourchildren.org, if you click on the Zachary Bernhardt missing link, you will see all the videos that we've done. You're going to hear the leads we followed up on, the work that we have taken, almost all of it. We have to keep some of it close to the vest. But look at this precious child. And he went missing from Clearwater, Florida in the year 2000. Actually, it was September 11th of 2000. Go figure, right? And then a year later was 9/11, which knocked his story right off the news media. But we have not given up on Zachary Bernhardt. And people would say, and actually it'll be September this year. It'll be 26 years. So it's been 25 years for him. And we've had so many comments of people saying, why do you keep looking for him? He's probably dead. He would have showed up by now. He's an adult. He would have come forward if he wanted to be found. Just leave him alone. And they're forgetting the fact that this child, this now man, is a victim of a crime. And we believe it was at the hands of someone connected to his family, as most cases are. Well, how do you know it wasn't just a predator who just snagged the kid at 4 o'clock in the morning in a supposed 15-minute window? We don't think so. And we have a lot of facts and testimony to indicate that perhaps that wasn't the case of what happened. Jay from Michigan, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Glad that you're here. So if that little girl, Alexandra Reyes, can be found after 25 years and over in Mexico, and interesting enough, Zachary Bernhardt, if you guys remember and followed any of the stuff that we've been showing on this missing child who's now a man, there is a connection to Mexico known as the Mexico Man. Jay from Michigan says, sorry, I'm late. No problem. We understand. Glad that you're here. And we believe that Zachary Bernhardt is in Mexico right now, just over the border. And he is staying off the grid for many reasons. And the people that don't know about what happened to him, we're talking about family members, are going through hell every day that he's not found, every holiday, every birthday. But we're committed to solving this case of Zachary Bernhardt. And it encourages us. If that little girl can be found after 25 years, Zachary can be found after 25 years. Can we get an amen? And that's what our goal is going to be. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. Let me tell you how you can help us do that. We posted a video earlier this week. It was called Emergency Cuts. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you're probably tired of hearing this from all these different places, but just as any other YouTube channel that's out there, of course, we're not covering politics and we're not covering sports and entertainment. We're covering the abuse of children and how to protect them from being kidnapped and abused. We do this work every Saturday live, and we're trying to reach people. In fact, the emergency cuts that we had to make is why we can no longer be on Twitter. Yeah, because it costs money. You have to have Twitter Premium or X Premium to go live. We had to cut that expense. We had to cut 2 other programs, including a program that would have helped us locate Zachary. Why? Because we are not getting donations. Okay, we have one person that is donating money on a monthly basis. And it's a $20 donation. We're very thankful for that. We'll tell you right now that 90% of that goes right to a bank account because it has to pay for service fees. Okay, this is very real. We are down to the point where all the volunteers here are the ones paying for all of our services. We're paying for the web hosting. We're paying for the live stream software. We're paying for the background checks software that we use to give you guys free background checks to keep your kids safe. We're paying for everything here, and we cannot continue to do it. So right now we've had to make cuts, including stopping to look for Zachary. Now, what we've been asking for quite a while is we're asking for $5 a month. $5 a month on a recurring basis. Go to our website, protectyourchildren.org. There's a donate tab there, donate to help. Make a $5 donation, recurring donation, $5. I'm going to tell you right now, if we had 100 people out of the 11,000 followers that we have on our across social media platforms, we had 100 people doing $5. Right? What is that? $500 a month. Let me tell you, that would cover our expenses, and that would help us to expand and advertise. So we're asking for $5 a month. You can't afford that. We understand times are tight. But we believe that there's a lot of people. We believe that there's a solid 100 people out of all of our followers that cannot spend $5 one day on a Starbucks coffee and instead donate it to help protecting kids. We believe that can happen. But we want to continue to look for Zach. We really do. We want this boy found, this now man found. But we need your help to do it. So please consider doing that. And we thank you in advance. It's all tax deductible. And nobody here takes a salary. So we're not trying to get rich. All right. Let's take a look at this. This is how the FBI tracks down child pornography predators. There's a lot to learn here. And honestly, I don't know how I didn't come across this until now, but this is a great segment. It's about 7 minutes long. We'll have some commentary through it. And then we're going to get into our main topic for tonight, which are the lies that kids often believe, which keeps them trapped in abuse or keeps them from talking about it with anybody. So, all right, let's jump into this. And we'll be interrupting for commentary, of course, but let's check this out.
The production of millions of pornographic images of children being sexually abused. They are uploaded from cell phones, webcams, and computers. John Ferrugia of Rocky Mountain PBS has the story of one family who was a victim and explores what you can do to protect your children.
There was a card on our front door from the FBI, and immediately our hearts sank. You know, I thought, why is the FBI contacting us?
7 years ago, Beth and her husband couldn't imagine what the FBI wanted, but they agreed to meet.
They said, we believe your son has been a victim of a crime. And I said, impossible. My son is at home. And he showed me the photos, and immediately I just broke down. My husband broke down crying.
What she saw was her then 4-year-old son being sexually abused. The acts documented in still images and video and uploaded to the internet. It had been going on for 2 years.
And they asked us if we knew who the person was and where he could be located. And
did you?
I did. He actually was a family friend that we had known for a long time, almost my whole life.
Really quick, family friend that they known for a long time, almost her whole life, was the one that was abusing this child. Can you believe that? And this is what often happens. We always know that over 90% of kids that are victimized or victims of SA are victimized by somebody that the parent and the child already knows. It's not stranger danger, okay? These are very real predators that are right close to your children. That's how they find a child to target, because they're usually spending time with them every day. Kind of like what Hannibal Lecter said in Silence of the Lambs. I know that's kind of a weird thing, right? But I was just watching that movie. And it was interesting because they were trying to find Buffalo Bill. Anybody who's seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Great movie, by the way. Anthony Hopkins was just absolutely amazing in that movie. So was Jodie Foster. But he said, how do criminals find people to target? They covet, right? They look at what they see every day. Predators are the same way. They will see kids and they'll be attracted. I know it sounds crazy, right? They'll be attracted to a certain child of a certain type, a certain look, and they see that child often all the time, and that's how they start to get into that child's life. So it's not just stranger danger, okay? These are predators that are around your kids every day, as this unfortunate mother had found out.
It's your neighbor, it's your pastor, it's your teacher, it's your soccer coach. We've had all of those types of people, people with kids, people without kids.
FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas has been investigating internet child pornography in the Denver field office for more than 7 years.
I wish there was some magic profile where we could identify these people, but there's not.
It was Forkas, along with agents in Illinois, Missouri, Arizona, and Colorado, who were able to identify her son. Through their investigation, they discovered he had been a victim in a multi-state child porn ring, and the agents tracked down those who had sexually abused him for years.
My son was going to my dad's house. My dad also had some people that were helping him out and providing care and resources at his house.
So he had no idea.
He had absolutely no idea.
The men.
See that? The people, the perpetrators, were being the heroes. Remember last week we heard from the convicted predator himself, not this guy, but another guy. And he said, you know what? He plays the hero. He shows up and he says, hey, I'm here to help out any way you need. I can help you out. I can give you a break. You know, I can watch your child for you. But these people were helping out her father, right? And therefore they gained access to his grandson. See that? And the father trusted them. The grandfather trusted them because, hey, you know, they're being so nice. They're helping out. That's what they do, these predators.
one married with 2 children and the other single, who had access to Beth's son, were arrested and convicted. The break in the case came with the arrest of this man, Richard Franklin. He is a 50-year-old military veteran who lived in this quiet Denver neighborhood with his parents, who knew nothing about their son's criminal obsession.
You take a quick walk around the house and you immediately know usually who your subject is, because it's the bedroom with all the computers and all the keyboards.
FBI photos from their search of the house show how Franklin closeted himself with his computers, where he could view images he collected of children being sexually abused.
He had hundreds of thousands of images and videos of child pornography.
Hundreds of thousands?
Yes, hundreds of thousands.
Franklin's images of sexually abused children stored on hard drives were being traded with like-minded predators all over the U.S. and beyond. Franklin was advertising for child porn, receiving images, including those of Beth's son, and trading images from his collection. Franklin was convicted and sentenced to 100 years in federal prison. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, known as NCMEC, works with federal, state, and local law enforcement to identify children in photos who are being sexually abused. Here's how it works. Internet service providers like Google, Yahoo, and others monitor the billions of uploads and downloads of material with algorithms that search for possible child pornography. When it's detected, the providers review them and contact NCMEC, sending a sample of the image as well as information about the web server and the address. It is then passed along to the FBI for possible investigation.
We're able to run those images against known images that NCMEC has, and that may play a part in victim identification.
Calvin Shivers is the special agent in charge of the FBI office in Denver. He previously headed the Violent Crimes Against Children section at FBI headquarters. He says in Colorado, about 50% of child porn cases investigated are derived from tips from internet providers through the nonprofit.
A lot of times when you just get a general tip, there may not be enough information, but NCMEC, because of the experienced staff, they're able to, in some instances, call additional information that may help the investigation.
The number of tips compiled by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has exploded in recent years. In 2010, there were more than 213,000 tips involving child pornography. In 2017, the number of tips was more than 10 million.
Wow. Okay. Now that's 2017. So I'm assuming this, that's the latest data they got. I'm sure they got more now. But look at that. It jumped to over 10 million. Okay. And that was what? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, what? 7 years ago? Could you imagine what it is now? It's insane.
Number of cases that are happening. It's an avalanche. I mean, we just feel like we're dishing the ocean out with a spoon.
Judy Smith is chief of the Cybercrime and National Security section of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Denver.
Nobody wants to know that this dark side of humanity exists, and not just exists, but the scope of it.
Judy Smith says another growing concern involves increasingly younger kids carrying smartphones.
They can take pictures of themselves, and they can send those to their friends or somebody who they think are friends. There's online predators out there who pose as young boys or girls who then entice or ask kids to self-produce child pornography.
I know you've been waiting for this for a while.
And FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas says once just one photo is sent by an unsuspecting child or teen to a predator posing online as another kid, as illustrated in this NCMEC training video,
they can be blackmailed, or they're too embarrassed to say anything, so they continue to send pictures.
To emphasize the point, Forkas noted that while we were conversing on an upper floor of the FBI building in Denver,
people are actively posting child pornography on one of my undercover computers downstairs. There's a little girl on that site. You can tell she's self-producing. I mean, she's holding the cell phone out. She's nude. She's maybe 10, 11 years old. And we're seeing this live on this site. Why is she taking pictures of herself? Where are her parents?
Parents should be.
That's a great point that she's making right there. And this is what we're seeing on Facebook threads. We've covered this on a couple of different occasions. And on Facebook threads, there are tons and tons and tons of kids on there. And they're saying, hey, I'm 12. I'm from this area. I can get you anything you want. Send me a message. If these are actual profiles of kids, they are already victims. And they could be being used by the traffickers and sexual predators to gain other kids. So you have kids that are trapped. And then we also have cases and situations that we know of, and we've showcased one on this live show some months back about a 13-year-old who was actively on his own looking for sexual predators online to trade videos and pictures with. And we got into why that was happening and the history of his case. But there are kids that are actually out there for the attention, and they're trying to get money, and they're somehow feeling loved by these people because everyone like loves them, when they're not really being cared about at all. These people are just using these kids, and they're victimizing them over and over again. It's incredible. Thank you. End human trafficking. I was just going to go out there and get that number. I'm going to put that up on screen. 2023, over the course of the year, NCMEC saw reports rise more than 12% compared with the previous year, surpassing 36.2 million reports. Wow. 36 million. So it was 10 million 6 or 7 years ago, and now it's 36 million. Man. This is bad. And the detective made a great point. She's like, where's the parents? Like, who is watching these kids? This girl's self-producing this stuff, and who's watching her? I mean, to make sure she's safe. Let's finish this up.
Be cognizant of what their children are doing on the internet and on their smartphones, just across the board.
And FBI Special Agent in Charge Calvin Shivers says it goes beyond monitoring.
Parents should also make sure that there's a good avenue for their children to communicate. And if they had that conversation, that the children know that they can come to them. To your point, a lot of the victims don't feel that they can talk to their parents, and that causes them to be re-victimized over and over again.
Yes.
For Beth's son and for her family, ongoing therapy has brought them beyond trauma to hope.
How does your son see his future?
Oh, just very positive. He's also going to have this story to go with it that, I dealt with this as a child, and look, here I am, and you can get through it too.
Beth and her family say they hope public discussion of this horrific crime will bring public awareness and reduce the stigma for victims whose childhood photos often remain accessible on the web, and that it will help victims and their families heal. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Ferrugia in Denver.
Man. And something else to note, the recent stats have showed that somewhere around 30% of kids that are victims of SA, when they don't get therapy and they don't get help and counseling, around 30% become abusers themselves. And unfortunately, that's something that these parents are going to have to be watching with this child. And we know he got counseling and therapy, and we pray that that doesn't happen. But listen, the internet is where the kids feel like they belong. The internet is where the kids feel like they need to get attention from. They feel like they need to be loved and liked by total strangers, and somehow that makes them feel good. Listen, that is a warning, parents. There's a warning there. That means that there's something missing in their life at home. If a child has to go to complete strangers to feel love and attention, if they have to use their bodies to get attention and to feel like they're loved, then there's a pretty gaping hole in their heart from something. And parents, that needs to be addressed. Man. Jay from Michigan says we have AANA, but no S/AA. You're right. You're right. And it's needed. Wow. But that's how they track the stuff down. And like she said, it's like trying to dump the ocean out with a spoon. I mean, it's that bad. It is that bad. Man. It's crazy. So looking at the chat here. Marie T says U.S. is the most trafficking import in the world. This is true. Yep, this is very true. Tracy, servant of Christ, she said, victims can become perpetrators. So the more victims, the more potential predators. That's absolutely right. And that goes back to what we're going to talk about right now. And we are going to run a little bit late tonight, probably about 15, 20 minutes, but we appreciate you sticking with us to the end because we want to cover this information from the guidelines. But it ties right in. When kids are believing lies and they're trapped in guilt and shame and all this, threats and all this other stuff, then they're not getting the counseling they need. They're not getting the therapy they need. They're not getting the understanding that they need. And then they can become abusers themselves. That's just the reality. Man, it's wild. All right. We're going to jump into section 10 of the protection guidelines, which you can find on our website, protectyourchildren.org. This is Saturday Night Protection Live. I'm your host, Christopher Gelson, the director and lead teacher of protectyourchildren.org. In the chat is our co-director, Marie T. And we are pleased to bring this show to you every week, free of charge, as everything we do is free. We had somebody tell us one time that we had a pretty lousy business model because I was talking to someone and I was saying, man, we have one person that donates every month. One person, $20, which we're very thankful for. But it's not enough to cover our expenses every month. It's not enough for us to expand. It's not enough. Listen, we have goals to create chapters of Protect Your Children in all these major cities and hire people to run those chapters and get more volunteers and to start teaching the information in the protection packet on a community basis. We have all these great plans, but I was telling them like $20 a month, we can't do that. That's not enough. And he said, well, how do you make money? And I said to him, we don't make money. You know why? Because we're never, ever going to charge anybody for information to protect their children. When we put on conferences, protection conferences, they run in the hundreds of dollars. We've got to rent more than hundreds. We've got to rent the place out. We've got to we're providing food. We're providing pamphlets, copies of the guidelines. There's a lot of money that goes into that. And if a single mom or a family can't afford that, so what? They're not going to be able to have their kids protected because they can't afford it? That's immoral and that's insane. And the guy said to me, well, if you're not selling anything, you can't make any money. If you can't make any money, that's a pretty crappy business model. And I said, this is not a business. Protecting children is not a freaking business, okay? Like, it is a duty that we all have to educate and raise awareness and keep these kids safe. We're not about the money. No one gets paid here. We're not trying to make money off this. I got a full-time 9-to-5 job I work outside of this to pay my bills. But yeah, it's a crappy business model. Come on, they don't understand. Yeah, Jay from Michigan said the world is a business. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And now I'll tell you something else. On our Facebook group, the Protect All Children from Predators, we have like 9,700 followers in that group. And let me tell you how social media works. And human trafficking probably knows. But this is how it works, right? Not many people see your posts. They just don't. We can make a post, just a standard post of a video or an image or a link to this podcast in that group that has almost 10,000 followers in it. And on average, 50 to maybe 100 people might see a post out of 10,000. On YouTube, it's even worse. We're closing in on like 900 subscribers on YouTube, and we're lucky if we're getting 20 views. People that, social media is not the best marketing tool in and of itself, just posting. Now, it is set up because, as Jay said, the world is a business. It's set up that we can take $50 and we can promote a post within our group, right? And then it'll reach all 9,700 people. Go figure. So it's like we have to pay money to be able to reach the 10,000 or 11,000 people across the social media platforms. We have to pay money to get the information to reach those people, to be able to ask those people to help us out. So it's like a catch-22. But it takes a few individuals, that sacrifice $5 a month is what we're asking for, recurring, just so we have some kind of stability coming in, $10 a month even. And then we start to put a program together where we can get the information out to those people, and we can reach more people, and that's how we grow. So, but in any case, that's the status of what's going on. All right, let's get into this guidelines right now. Jay said, can you mass email? Yeah, we have done that before. Jay, let me tell you something quick, right? And this, listen, we're people of faith that run this organization. So I'm not trying to just diss people of faith, but we sent a letter, professional letter, well done, letterhead, the whole 9 yards, to 100 different churches in the Tampa Bay area, explaining what we do, explaining the crisis that we're facing, not us, but the kids, and what we're trying to fight. And we followed up a couple weeks later with an email to 100 different pastors of those churches. And we didn't even ask for money. We just said, hey, can we come in and teach protection to your church? Have a special occasion. We'll come in. We pay for everything. Don't worry about it. Maybe come in and talk to the youth, something. Or if you can't do that, at least maybe put our website in your bulletin, just something. Can you help us out in any possible which way? Because you have a purpose to protect the children of God. Let me tell you how many people responded. 0. Not one reply, not one saying, sorry, we can't do anything for you right now. Not one reply to an email, not one follow-up from the letter, not one phone call, nothing, nobody. And that's what we're facing. And the schools are not teaching it to the kids either. We've talked to countless students and we say, are you guys taught in school about how to be safe from sexual predators online or in the community? And they say, we've never been taught anything. They don't like to talk about it. And the thing is, churches don't like to talk about it. It's a sensitive topic. This is a battle. There's a local radio show here on AM radio in Tampa Bay, very, very big, reaches, very, very far. And they do this little segment every morning where they have someone call in, a nonprofit or something in the area, and they promote a good cause. And we contacted them and said, hey, this is what we do. We've been in Tampa Bay for, since 2020. We'd like to come on the show in the morning and let your listeners know about what we provide and how they can protect their kids from SA. And did you know we got an email back from the producer of that show who said, yeah, that's not really drive time subject matter. We're a drive time morning show. That's not really appropriate for the morning show. Yeah, okay. But this is what's happening. It is a war. And that's why we're saying, look, out of all the people out there that we reach, we need to start banding together here. Because this past month, we had to cut expenses. Next month, it might get worse. But we want to continue to do these live shows. We want to continue to reach people. And I'm not trying to make the show about money. But the reality is that we cannot reach the multitude, the masses. Listen, there was a time when we were receiving donations. And let me tell you, and I'm not making this up, we were spending about $100 a week on social media advertising. And let me tell you, the thousands and thousands and thousands of views that we were getting on podcasts and videos. And we've had posts that were getting 20 to 30,000 views on it because we were paying for that to happen. But that's the way the world is set up. Tracy said in the chat, feels like we're losing. Yeah, it does. But does that mean we give up? No, we're not going to give up. I was talking to Marie, our co-director, earlier today, and I said, you know what? I'm going to continue to do this live show. We're going to continue to stay the course until we're bankrupt and broke. Because we need to fight for these children. We need to get this information out there. We need to raise awareness, wake people up, wake them out of their slumber because they don't think this is a big enough issue yet. We have a responsibility to do it, and we're not going to stop until we absolutely have to. I will tell you personally that I've made cuts in my own budget and my own household expenses in order to continue to fund this organization. And now I've trimmed down as much as I can go. I can't do anymore. Marie T has generously helped out with what she can. She can't do anymore. So that's the situation we're in, and it's a war. And we're going to continue to fight it until we can't do it anymore. All right. Let's jump in here. Section 10 of the guidelines. This is some most common lies thought and believed by children who have been abused or emmed. We can't say the word on YouTube. Okay. Molested. We can say that. Molested. Here's the first lie. Now, this isn't all kids, of course. This is just the common ones. Okay. The first lie is if it's happening from the same sex and it's not being physically forced, and there is a difference there. There's grooming and manipulation, and then there's threats of force, that, you know. Then the number one lie is I must be gay, lesbian, or bisexual. All right. Now, we're seeing a lot of proof of this. The whole transgender movement and the bisexual, all this stuff that's going on. We've got kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old in schools that are telling their friends that they're bisexual. Like, how do they even know about this, right? But a lot of times when a child is a victim of SA by the same sex, they believe that that must mean they're gay because they didn't stop it, or they're lesbian, or now they're bisexual because, hey, it didn't actually hurt. So why? Shouldn't it have hurted? Should I have not liked this? So then they start to question their own sexual identity. Kids may think that because it is something that they didn't stop, and also because they don't understand why it felt or feels quote unquote okay to them. Kids don't understand how they are manipulated and their emotions are tricked into feeling sexual. They also don't understand the connection between their emotions and their sexual feelings. Children that come from broken homes that didn't get attention and or emotional attachment from one or both of their parents, usually a boy and his father or a girl and her mother. Once the child is abused, especially by the same sex, which is 75% of the time, by the way, the child will try to receive that missing attachment, that void, fill that void in a false way, which is usually sexual. They feel like this is what they have to do to feel loved. And now in order for the child to keep that feeling of attachment, quote unquote, they will convince themselves that I must be gay, lesbian, or bisexual because I didn't stop the SA that was happening. But it's a lie. They just don't understand why it happened and why they didn't say no right away. And a lot of kids don't, especially if they've been groomed. We know of story after story after story of kids that have been involved in sexual relationships with adults for years before it ever got stopped. And you would think, you know, like, why didn't they get out? Why didn't they say something? Because they've been tricked or threatened, or they really feel like they're being loved. Now, the truth of that is the reason that it feels sexually good is because God created sex as a reward and a pleasurable experience. Amen. For passion and procreation. A child doesn't know this. Therefore, to them, it just feels sexual and it feels good. It may also feel good because it puts the child on a quote unquote a high that removes them for a short while only from any emotional pain or trauma that they've experienced. We've talked about this before. Sex is like a drug. It is a drug. It creates, you know, endorphins and it's a drug. It produces the same thing in their pleasure centers that drugs and alcohol do. And kids that are victims of trauma and broken homes, divorced parents, all these things that they go through, they don't know how to process those emotions. They don't know how to process what they feel. And a lot of times kids just stuff it, and it causes depression and it causes extreme sadness. And then the kids find sex and they go, hey, wait a minute, this takes me away from my pain for a while. Well, you know what? Sexual predators look for that. They look to identify kids that are holding on to a lot of baggage. As part of the grooming process, talk to the child, find out what's going on in their home. Find out if they're upset. Find out if they've been abandoned by one or two parents. And then the predator knows that child might, hey, maybe they want to forget about this will feel good. And they use it against the child. All right. Let me check the chat real quick because that was a mouthful. Man. Let's see. We have to find ways around the things that block us. Absolutely. Tracy, Servant of Christ, said, kids are easily tricked. My cousin was watching her grandbaby who was upset because her teachers told her she was gay. Holy mackerel. My cousin asked why she said that, and it was because she said another girl looked, I'm assuming looked at her. or something. But yeah, this is crazy, right? That's a whole nother show. And Jay from Michigan, you can reach us directly through Facebook or through our website email link. You can contact us. All right, back to our guidelines. The second lie: sex or sexual touching is the best way or the only quote unquote safe way to make an emotional connection with someone. We just talked about that. Kids often are scared to get emotionally close in a real genuine way because they've been hurt before. And they know that, hey, if I give a person sex or if I allow them to do this thing to me, then I'll be loved. They'll love me. They'll care about me. We see this online all the time. These little girls and little boys that are on social media and they're dancing around, gyrating their hips, and they're pulling their shirt up a little bit. It's like they're crying for attention. They're crying for views. They're crying for someone to just say, hey, you look beautiful. But these kids think that they need to use sex or sexual touching to develop some kind of an emotional connection with someone. Now, the truth is that sexual feelings only give the perception that you're connecting with someone on an emotional level. This usually happens with kids and adults that are too afraid of trying to connect emotionally with someone because of past hurt or rejection. The true way to connect with someone is through friendship. And friendship includes having things in common, learning to trust one another, caring for one another, and then loving each other. True friends, and we're talking to kids here, so you can share this with kids that you know. True friends treat you in a godly and legal way and will not use you for some feel-good pleasure. True closeness and love is found through a friend that wants to be with you just because you're you, not because you do something ungodly or illegal that makes them feel good. Here's the third lie, most commonly thought by kids. If I really want a friend or just to be loved by an adult, I have to make them feel good. I have to let them make me feel something that they think is helping me, or they will leave. Well, that's a mouthful right there, right? Some kids believe this. If I really want a friend or just to be loved by an adult, I have to make them feel good, and I have to let them make me feel something that they think is helping me, or they will leave. That's a lie from the pit of hell, but kids believe this. Truth is, a true connection with an adult and friend is made up of A, things that you have in common and enjoy together. B, personality of the person. Is it similar to yours? C, the ability to tell the person things personal and trust them. D, through time showing that the person doesn't lead you into ungodly and illegal things. E, being able to understand each other and forgive each other when you have made an honest mistake and you see that they're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now look at this. There's a caveat to that. And we say, kids, if an adult tries to touch you in a sexual way, don't believe that lie that it was just a mistake and it won't happen again. Come on. You got to tell someone and get away from that person. F, a person that accepts you for the unique boy and girl that God made you. You should be able to be yourself around people. If they don't like that, then don't turn ungodly or turn to illegal things just to make them like you. And God said it's not good for man or woman to be alone, and he will bring plenty of true friends. A true friend will not expect you to do anything sexual with them. Nothing. Period. Man. Let's take a drink here. Yeah, Jay makes a great point. Jay from Michigan. Kids use negative attention to get attention. They do. They do. Adults can be groomed to get to the children. Boom. You know it. Jay, where have you been all our lives? Absolutely right. That's a great point. These predators, and the predator that we heard from, the convicted child, M, that we heard from last week, that's what he said. He will become friends with the parent. He will offer them help. He'll be the hero. They groom the parents too. And even if that takes time to build the trust with that parent. Great point, Jay from Michigan. All right. How about the fourth lie that kids believe? I've been hurt by people before, so I have to be afraid to have a true friendship based upon true feelings and values. They believe that the safest way to build one is upon feel goods like sex. Let me share something with you, right? And I'm gonna talk to the guys out there. All right. Let me talk to the guys out there for a minute. Okay. Mano y mano here. You know, back in my younger days, I knew what a girl wanted. I knew that if I reassured a girl that she'd be safe and that I would look out for her and I would take care of her and I would never leave her, that I'd always be there for her, that they would eat that up. That goes right to their heart. Those are the things that they want to hear. Girls want to know that they're safe and secure with the man that they're with. And I was a player back in the day. I'm not proud of it, but this is the way it was. And we're going back 25, 30 years. Yeah, I'm an old guy, 52 years old. But we knew how to talk to women. We knew how to talk to girls. And you know what? The girls knew what the guys wanted. And they knew that guys wanted sex. Let's be honest. That's the way it is, right? There's a lot of guys out there that still want sex. And so we knew what to say to the ladies, and the ladies knew what the guys wanted. So we would start to give the things to the ladies to make them feel safe and secure. And then the girls, the ladies would give us sex because it's what we wanted. And you try to build a relationship based upon that, it crumbles and falls apart. Of course it does. It doesn't work. It ends up leading hurt, you know, by both people. Yeah, Marie T made a great point. She said girls actually thought sex was love. And a lot of kids think that now too. And are you surprised? I mean, the movies, the music, the commercial, everything, you know, they show these two people being so happy together. Even after just meeting each other, it was love at first sight. Of course, they jumped in the sack the second day they knew each other. And now they think that they're in love. But kids are not being taught by their parents what true love really is and what true friendship really is. So they're out there and they're using these feel goods like sex to try to build a relationship, and all they're doing is being used. And listen, predators know what kids want to hear. I'll love you. I'll take care of you. I'll be there for you. I won't be like your parents. I'll make sure you're safe. I'll support you in all the things that you want to do. And the child just eats that up, man. Because that's what they've been longing to hear. That's all they want. Someone to care about them and love them and support their goals and listen to them and hear them out. And so a predator steps into that situation, tells a child what they want to hear. And then the child's been hurt before. So they start thinking, hey, when the predator starts saying, hey, I really love you. Why don't you send me a little picture or I'll send you this. The children will do it because they think that's the only way. They think that's part of their friendship they have with a predator. It's absolutely insane and it's twisted. Yeah, we're getting into the psychology of what predators do because this is how you teach your kids so they don't fall into the traps. Now, the truth is, you can tell your kids as young children, we have been hurt 100% of the time because of someone else's sin, their selfish desire, and their bad choice. Kids aren't at fault when they're little. You tell them, when kids get hurt, the parent will say, it's your fault. No, it's not your child's fault. It's your fault, parent. I'm sorry that's rough, but that's the truth. It may have been alcohol, drugs, or physical abuse that led a parent to leave, or sexual. Let the kids know that these are things that you have not made happen or that you could control. So if you look for warning signs that were missed the first time around and avoid those type of people, then you have a better chance of not getting hurt. What we're talking about is kids need to know if they've been hurt by people before, they need to understand what kinds of people they are and look at the warning signs. And you can encourage your kids on how to be safe and be around safe people and not fall into the same trap over and over again of being hurt. They don't have to resort to sex. They don't have to resort to feel goods like that. They don't have to do drugs with someone in order, for them to like them. The kids need to know that they didn't cause people to make the decisions that they did. It's not the child's fault. You got to pray for protection. And we tell kids, if you just be yourself and treat others the way you would like to be treated, golden rule, hello. Then if the people are truly godly people, they will return that friendship without conditions. All right, a couple more. This is almost like the previous, but because I've been hurt and rejected, this is a lie that kids believe. Because I've been hurt and rejected, showing my true emotions in the past while trying to feel secure with someone. The only way to feel safely close is to try to create closeness by using dangerous feel-goods like sex or drugs. We were just talking about that. And we tell kids it wasn't your good qualities that caused people to hurt and reject you. It was their bad ones. Let me repeat that. You can tell your kids, look, man, it wasn't your good qualities that caused people to hurt and reject you. It was their bad ones. It was their free will choice. The real truth of 100% security without fault is not found in people on earth. Kids need to understand this stuff. We have to understand the psychology of these predators because they're using psychology to manipulate and groom kids. And if your kids are aware of it ahead of time and they're aware of these tricks and these lies, and these lies often help kids to stay quiet too. Marie T said, yeah, it's a great point. Marie T in the chat said, now to young people, if you're 15 and still a virgin, you're like an outcast or a freak. This is what the culture has done. All right, we're almost ready to wrap up here. Appreciate you guys sticking with us a little longer than normal tonight because we're finishing out this series on how to keep your kids safe from sexual predators online and in the community. I'm your host, Christopher Gelson with Protect Your Children Incorporated. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website, ProtectYourChildren.org. You're listening to Saturday Night Protection Live, brought to you every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we are glad that you are here. And we ask that you would share this podcast. After it's done, it is in podcast form, and you can share the podcast. Not just once, but maybe twice. Share it so people can see it. Get the word out there. Spread the word. We share it on our social media for a couple of days after the fact. We also use a program to cut it up into bites, like Opus clips. We break it up into reels and shorts, and we post that throughout social media to help inform people. But you can do your part by clicking the share button. Copy, paste, click share, click re-X or retweet or whatever they're calling it now. Post it on your own timeline. It's very helpful. Marie T already shared on Facebook and X. Thank you so much. All right. I want to read to you a poem coming up here in a few minutes. Right after this tips on preventing kidnapping. We had an anonymous poem from a child that was abused. And it's very, very powerful. And it goes right to the heart. So stay tuned for that in just a few minutes. Some quick vital tips on preventing kidnapping and child abduction. Same thing, but we like to, use the terms that are familiar to people. We always tell children, always stay in groups of at least 2 or more people. Kidnappers are less likely to try and abduct you if there are witnesses around. True fact. A child who's alone, obviously, has more of a chance of being kidnapped than if they're with other people. Children should always try to change their specific ways that they walk to and from the bus stop or to and from your friends' houses. It's good to have 1 or more ways to get to where you're going. Child kidnappers usually will stalk first, and they wait for a time and location where it's easiest to abduct you. This is true. How many kids are getting taken right off the school buses? That predator has been stalking them and seen that child get off that bus every single day and walk the same exact place at the same exact time. And he happens to notice that there's not a lot of cars around at that time and there's no parent coming out to meet the child. The child's all alone. So whenever possible, kids need to be with more than one person and try to find, a couple different ways to get to where they're going. Avoid walking or biking in dark areas, wooded paths, alleys, and back roads that have hardly any traffic. All right. How many stories have we heard? Kids that have been kidnapped walking on a dark road. I mean, what parent lets their kid walk on a dark road or even bike on a dark road at night? I mean, that's crazy. Children, keep an eye out for suspicious vehicles that you see every day. For example, if you see the same white van every day or even every other day constantly, this could be someone who is looking for a specific type of child to kidnap. And you think about it, how often do you normally notice the same vehicle every day where you walk or play by yourself, right? I mean, it's just kind of, we've heard this before, but, look for vehicles that seem to be suspicious. Why does this person keep circling around? Why is this person, looking at me every day? Those are warning signs. Children, remember these two things. If someone grabs you, make sure you scream and hit their private parts at the same time. A kidnapper only has two arms. He or she can't carry you, cover your mouth, and protect their private parts all at the same time, right? We know this. We tell the kids, you make noise, scream. Some parents have even told their kids, you know what? If some stranger's grabbing you, you go ahead and curse. Because you know what happens when people hear a child curse? It draws attention. I'm just saying. And we're not for cursing over here, but hey, listen, if a child's getting grabbed and somebody near there hears a child cursing, they're going to be like, what the heck? What's going on over there? And of course, children, never for any reason go towards someone's car, van, or truck. A lot of times a kidnapper will say, we've heard this one before, everybody, right? I have a cute puppy to see, or can you help me find my dog? Or my animal is sick. Can you help? Or I have free candy or something. We were talking about Zachary Bernhardt earlier. A year later, another child was kidnapped from the same apartment complex down at Clearwater, Florida. And this time, the person pulled up in a pickup truck that had some ice cream symbols on it and told the child that there was actually a group of children. Very strange that this happened, which we think is connected to the first one. But in any case, the guy said, hey, I have candy. I have ice cream. Anybody want some ice cream or candy? And most of the kids said, no, we're good. But one boy went toward the vehicle to get the ice cream, and he got grabbed by a kidnapper. Thank God the child was found 90 miles north, but was severely injured and harmed, as you can imagine. But children should never go toward anyone's car for any reason. If it's not their parent, not someone that they already know. And parents, this is so important. Know the routes that your kids walk or bike, okay, to their friend's house or to school. I mean, if someone were to take them, you would know what roads they were walking or biking on, right? And this way you can tell the police exactly where to look for witnesses. There's too many situations where the parent is like, hey, what's going on today, Johnny? And Johnny says, I'm going to Timmy's house. All right, go for it. See you later. Be home by dinner. Do you even know Timmy? Do you know Timmy's family? Do you know where Timmy lives? Do you know how your child's getting to Timmy's house? No, they're just going to Timmy's house. You better have some idea of where your kids are walking or biking to get to their friend's house or to get to school and the routes that they take. God forbid someone grabs them, you'd be able to say it was probably right here on this road. And parents, I know this is hard today. Get to know your neighbors, especially people in your immediate neighborhood or subdivision. And this is important for two reasons. First, so you can know which people you feel comfortable and deem appropriate for your children to be around. And two, you can set up safe houses for your children to run to if an emergency with them or you should take place. It's very important. Very important. All right, a couple more. Parents, it's a great investment to enroll your child in at least a basic self-defense course. Hey, most courses or karate schools are pay-as-you-go, so you can quit after a couple of months. But usually with about $50, your child can learn successful self-defense tactics. Always great to learn self-defense. Parents, it's a great idea to practice defense tactics with your children. Go over a plan of what your children will do if they're approached or grabbed by a trafficker, by a predator, by someone, right? Make sure they know what they will do. God forbid they will ever have to use it. Right? But you can go over these plans. Hey, if somebody grabs you, what would you do? Oh, I'll start screaming and I'll be hitting for their private parts and I'll be yelling out curse words if I got to. All right, good job. At least you know what to do. They need to have a plan. You know, kids don't think of this by themselves. And we tell this to kids all the time. Make sure when you're online or making videos, which, by the way, we don't think they should be, but they are. When you're online or making videos that you are not, make sure you're not talking or doing anything sexual. Make sure your real name, your phone number, your location is not seen by anyone you and your parents don't know in real life. Do not talk to strangers online and be careful of adults posing as kids. You know, you would think that this is like, well, duh, obviously, right? You know, but the reality is we have situations like where this happens a lot. We brought you a story last week, and we're going to finish up here in the next 5 minutes. We thank you for sticking with us. We had a story we brought you, it was a few weeks ago, and there's a pretty popular Instagram channel profile. And we followed them. You know, it's a mother and a daughter, and it's all innocent stuff. It's funny stuff. And they're, you know, the daughter's got jokes, and the mom, you know, it's great. It's wholesome stuff. But there was one particular video that they did where the girl who's like in middle school was in the video, and you could see the name of her school right on her shirt. That's a problem. You have your daughter, and you, of course, mom, on social media. You're gaining thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of followers. A lot of them are predators online. And now there's a video with the name of your child's school on their shirt. It's not hard. We got the Googles. Okay? They Google the name of that school. It's not very hard to figure out, okay, this is the school the child goes to. Let me look up the school's website. Now I know what time the school gets in, what time the school gets out. Now I can wait and see if the child's picked up by their parent or the bus rider or they're a walker. Like, you shouldn't have, kids shouldn't be displaying anything that indicates where they live. Another big one is the social media posts with their kids doing sports. Yep, we're about to go to the game at XYZ Field. What are you doing? You're telling the public of strangers where your child goes after school. Have we lost our minds? But this is what happens. This is what happens. So, all right. This is a poem that we came across years and years and years ago from a child who was molested, we'll say. And I want you to listen real carefully, and we're going to close with this. I want you to listen to the pain in this child's writing and what they went through and how it made them feel. And then ask yourself, can you imagine a child who has suffered through the hands of an abuser, what they're feeling? Can you imagine what they're feeling, what they're thinking about themselves? Most of us can't. Most of us can't. This is section 12 of the guidelines. It's right at the end. This is a poem from an anonymous user, child that was molested and abused. The name of the poem is Unexpected. The child wrote, "You pursued me when I was young and not able to see. You found me when I wasn't sure of who I wanted to be. While I was hurting and running away, just trying to escape from all my pain, you just wanted to feel good and play your little game. Sadly, you didn't realize that you were deceived and insane." Kids got some rhymes. "You said that you were a friend that wanted to help me out. Why couldn't you find a true godly way? Why did you have to abuse me? Why did this type of game did you have to play? so that years later you would let me think that I was gay, lesbian, or bisexual. You think that just because sex feels good, it would be okay to use it in this way? You actually thought this would take me away from my pain? Well, you were just deceived and blind, and all your sinful efforts were done in vain. Now I realize what you actually made me feel. You made me feel dirt cheap. You made me feel like a trashy piece of useless meat. You made me confused, and you made me one of the abused. You sinful pawn, shame comes upon you, and soon you will have to see the truth. The child goes on to say, God in psychology has taught me that this happened to you when you were young and not able to see. And I was young and you did it to me. But that still does not make it right. You don't take advantage of and molest kids who can't fight. God blessed me with knowledge and grace, and now I beat this fight. He has brought me much wisdom and golden sight. He showed me that what you did was not love. What you did was not part of his spirit that's like a dove. God showed me that your abuse was not an escape from me. It was an evil mind trick that was harmful in every way. I was just too young and not able to see. God showed me that the reason I didn't say stop, the reason I didn't tell mom, dad, or a cop, I was overwhelmed with these feelings at a tender young age, so much that I didn't see the mentally loaded 20 gauge. I couldn't see the bullets that would soon be shot. There was no way I could have known the plot. The writer goes on to say, Christ showed me that because this happened doesn't mean I'm gay, lesbian, or bisexual. He tells me this in the truth that his words portray. So for this grace and these golden reasons, I do not follow in your sin for Satan. No, I do not follow in that way. I have found healing through my pain, and God has revealed the hidden scheme and made me sane. Anger kills me 23 times 102, so I forgive you, for you are deceived. And if you confess and ask, then God will forgive you too. He understands the deception. He says, seek and turn from your wicked ways and be set free. Quote, come on, trust me, it feels good. Hey, evil one, why don't you stop the pain that you're causing and seek God's face, and you will see. Now it's time to open my heart and learn some more. Now it's time to keep my heart open along this golden tour. It's time to teach and warn others about this abuse. God has used this deception and pain to give me yet another purpose, another way to make this demon slain. Whew. That is powerful. I don't have any words. I don't have any words. But that's a child that's learned, a child that knows now what the trap was, a child that knows it wasn't their fault, a child who clearly had some anger, still there, but a child that was willing to forgive. That was a poem called Unexpected by Anonymous. Pretty powerful. We're going to end it there. We do ask again that you would donate and support us, support the mission, support the fight by going to our website, protectyourchildren.org. Click on Donate to Help Protect, and you can make a huge difference. We use PayPal. The reason why we use PayPal is so that we do not see any of your information. We don't want you to be afraid that your information will be used or shared. Okay? You don't need a PayPal account to donate. And you'll see here that there are many ways that your donation helps our mission. Just a few things right here: website maintenance, hosting and updating, advertising on social media, internet, radio, television, outdoor signage. We'd love to be able to do that. Printing costs for pamphlets, guidelines, business cards, magnetic card decals, which, by the way, we send out for free. Oh, and I want to tell you something. I don't know who it was, but somebody posted our website on a online billboard about a week and a half ago, and it blew up. We had 1,000 people go to our website in like a week and a half, and we have tons of people that are requesting magnetic card decals. Okay, They want pamphlets. They want card magnets for their car. They want to help us out in such an awesome way. I right now have 72 emails sitting in my Outlook box for requests with physical addresses and everything saying, please send us business cards, send us decals, send us pamphlets. And I want to tell you what, we can't do it. Do you know why? Because we ran out of decals. We don't have the money. We don't have the money to get all this stuff created and mail it all out across the country. But we have an opportunity for 75 more people to be driving around with our magnetic bumper magnet on the back of their car that's got our QR code and our website. But we can't do it because we don't have the money to do it, guys. We have costs for hosting in-person and online conferences, including travel, hotels, and food, teacher training materials. We teach people how to teach the guidelines to their communities, hosting and producing podcasts, shipping and printing. Guys, there's so much expenses that go into running an organization. You got the idea. We need your help. We need your help. And we're asking people $5, $10 a month on a recurring basis. When you go to donate on our website, protectyourchildren.org, you click on donate to help protect. You'll see PayPal there, and there's an option to click this to say make it a recurring donation. You click that box, and it's $5 a month, $10 a month. You barely miss it. But I'll tell you, when a whole bunch of people do that, it adds up. And it gives us the ability to reach more people and do the things that we want to do to reach the parents and the kids that need to be reached. So we thank you in advance for that. All right, we are done for tonight. Wow, an hour and 40 minutes. That was a long show, longest we probably ever did. Listen, Jay from Michigan, reach out to us. It'd be great to talk with you. Glad that you were here. Tracy, servant of Christ, glad that you're here. Marie T, we love you. We thank you for everything that you've done. And human trafficking. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Anything you can do to help get our website and our show out there so we can reach more people. We appreciate you and everything that you do online. And all the others that are listening, we've got people on Facebook, people on YouTube that are listening right now. We thank you. We love all you guys. And we want to give a special shout out to the people who listen on the podcast, because a lot of people listen after the fact, and we don't want you to feel like you're forgotten. We see you and we care about you. We thank you for listening to us and doing everything you can to help keep kids safe. This has been Saturday Night Protection Live with your host, Christopher Gelson, director, lead teacher of protectyourchildren.org. Visit our website, protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. Thank you for being here, everybody. God bless you. Stay safe and keep protecting, because our kids are worth it. Good night.